beef dog. Dude, I saw that dog and I thought, man, I'm gonna have to go out the back door. I'm busted now.
Always holding down.
Alright, so my name is Tony. I go by the Irish Mexican. Yep, that's me. Irish Mexican. I was born Hispanic and I was raised Irish. So, you know, I changed my last name to Meager, but there's nothing I can do about the brown skin. I kind of stuck with it. You guys have kids? Anybody got kids? A lot of you? Anybody have a son? Their first son? Anybody just a son? You got a son? Oh, you guys got one. Oh, you guys will relate to this shit.
That fucker looks like a mailman.
All right, mailman. So,
They were fighting.
I got my first son was amazing. You know, when he was born, you know, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Holding him in my hands, counting his little fingers, his toes, just everything was like perfect. I was like the perfect little kid. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I made this. I made this wonderful child. Everything was great. Everything came out normal. I'm thinking, that's awesome. Good times. I remember when I was a kid and got to be about 13 years old. Look, dude, I swear. Hold on. I swear. Dude, I swear. I left it in my car. No, seriously. Is that a dog? A drug dog? Holy shit. Dude, we're busted. Alright, I digress. Anyway. So when I was a kid, I remember being 13 years old, just like my son, and you know, I went through these phases. Being an Irish Mexican, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to be. There was a period in my life where I totally dressed like a cholo, you know, the cholos with the bandanas, the lowriders, and all that shit. So I did that for a while. Wasn't sure that was me, so then I started hanging out with the surfer dudes, and so my friends would go to the beach. And, you know, I lived in the Bay Area. They'd go surfing, so I started wearing the Vans and all the, you know, sex wax shirts and all that shit. You remember the sex wax shirts when you were younger?
Hell
no, I used to wear that shit. So I went through that phase. I went through a phase of being a stoner. You know, so you wear those mountain boots, those little mountain boots with the red laces and the jeans and. You know, no, I didn't go that skinhead. I went stoner. So I did stoner thing for a while. So I went through all these phases, and I remember the day. You know, I was back, you know, I was probably, what, in the 80s sometime? So we went through these phases. You know, kids are kids. They're trying to figure their shit out. So when my son turned 13, he started going through the same kind of stuff. Wanted to, you know, figure himself out. I'd gone through a divorce, and I got remarried, and my son would go back and forth between the two houses, and on my weekend, or night to pick him up, he comes home, he's with his stepmom in the kitchen, they're talking, and she's all, your son needs to talk to you, and I'm like, alright, what's up? He's all, he needs to tell you something. I went, alright. So we sit down, and he says, Dad, I'm gay. And of course, me being an adult, I went, what the fuck are you talking about? He says, I'm gay. And I'm like, you're 13 years old. How do you know you're gay? I don't know. I'm like, have you ever touched a dick besides your own? He says, no. I'm like, all right. Have you ever touched a pussy? He's all, no. I'm like, then how do you know? I mean, he's never played with dolls. He never, you know, any of that stuff. He was in band. I mean, I don't know if that's gay, but he's skin flute maybe. But dude, this dog is making me nervous. I know. I'm like, where's the exit? But he said he was gay, and I totally fucked up as a parent. They don't teach you this shit when you're raising your kids. I blew it. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You've never had a dick, you never touched a dick, you never had a pussy. How do you know you're gay? He says, I just know. And I'm like, whoa. So, of course, I handled it wrong. He didn't want to come over anymore. So, he stayed at his mom's house. And I asked him to come over. He didn't want to come over. So, for about 5 years or so, we didn't talk. We haven't seen each other. He goes to college. He's off in college. We start to build our relationship a little bit. I never went to college, but I heard, how many people go to college or went to college? Come on, raise your hands. There's all right, a lot of you guys. So I hear when you go to college, you experiment. Girls are kissing girls, and boys are doing whatever they do and sleeping around. So everybody's experimenting. Dylan, you know what I'm talking about, right? All right. So they experiment. experiment.
That's where the laugh came from. Go ahead.
Exactly. So, my son calls me up and says, Dad, I need to meet with you. You know, we started trying to build a relationship, so he comes over to the house, and I kind of didn't know exactly what he's going to talk about, but I told my wife, I said, see that shot glass there, or that highball glass with whiskey? When that thing gets halfway full, just make sure it's full. Just never empty, just make sure it's full. She says, okay. So he comes over, we had a little barbecue hangout, and we finally get to the point where he's got to tell me what he's going to tell me. He says, Dad, I'm not gay. I'm like, holy shit, there is a God. He went to college, he's not gay, he figured it out. He says, dude, not in my bag. Hold on, this dog is freaking me out.
He smells it.
I know he smells it, but it's legal now. Dog, it's legal now. You must be a retired police dog. It's totally legal. We're in California. Look, he's sniffing my bag. I swear there is no cocaine in there. Santa took that with Rudolph. Anyway, so we digress. My son says he's not gay, so I'm like, woo, he's not gay. But he says, Dad, I do have something to tell you. He says, I'm transgender. Dude, hold on, dude, you're really, dude. Rudy, do you have cocaine? What do you got? He says he's transgender. And I didn't know a whole lot about what that meant, but he said he was transgender, and I just said, honey, can you fill that glass up again? But he says, but I don't like boys. I like girls. And I went, holy shit, I finished that glass. I said, fill it up again. So he says that he's transgender. And so I'm like, all right, and he doesn't like boys, he likes girls.
Good look.
So I said, so let me get this straight. When you were 13, you thought you were gay, you didn't have a dick, didn't play with a dick, didn't anything to do with dick, you didn't like pussy, you didn't know what you're doing. So now you go to college, and you're a boy, but you want to be a girl, but yet you want to be with girls. And he says, yes. I said, so let me internalize this, so you just don't like dick, any way, shape, or form. You don't want to have a dick, you don't want to be a dick, you don't, just nothing to do with dick. And he says, yes, that's right. I'm like, man, when he was jacking off, like Rudy got caught jacking off, I'm thinking,
I didn't get caught.
you were in the bathtub with your grandpa.
Yeah, but I smoked a cigarette while I was in there.
Yeah, that's what you think. So when I came down hard on him with that, he probably just said, I don't want to have a dick anymore. And so it must be my fault some way. So I could not make that shit up. It is actually a true story. But I do one more little thing on that. So when he did go through this whole thing, he did come over. We saw him a few more times. He wants to go to the mall because he wants to buy some clothes. So we take him to the mall. And I said, what do you need to get the mall for clothes? And he's walking with my, he says, I need some new underwear. And I'm like, well, that's not my department. I think your stepmom can take you shopping. So I kind of walk behind. Then I go to Victoria's Secret. And I said, why are we going to Victoria's Secret? He says, well, I need new panties. They don't fit right. And I'm like, it's because you got a dick in them. The dick doesn't belong in panties. That's why what's up, dude? That's why they don't fit right.
You got excited.
No, like, holy fuck. So yeah, if you're a boy going into a girl and you put panties on, they are not going to fit right. Because you have a dick, and they don't belong in panties. They belong in boxers or underwear.
Makes your dick look bigger though.
Anyway, it does make my dick look bigger.
How do you know that?
Dude, really?
Yeah, why are you wearing pants?
Anyway, that's my skit for today. We are talking about the comedy show coming up in January 24th at Yuba Center Arts in Marysville. We have 3 great comics. I'm not one of them. We got Dylan's actually going to perform for us. Dylan, sweet. You got Phil from Chico's going to perform. We got the drug sniffing dogs going to perform. No. And then we got a couple of Yuba Center people. Cameo, she's going to be our headliner. And then if you guys know who, what's his name? Randy Warner is going to be our host. So he's going to be hosting the whole thing, doing all the stuff for us to keep it going. And then Rudy and I are just going to do some funny skits. And if you've been watching Facebook, follow Stoney's Photography on Facebook. Or if you have YouTube, go to Brothers of Other Mothers. And that's a group we have for comedy stuff. And thanks for listening to me. And here's your host.
Alright guys, one more time for the Irish Mexican.